Welcome back to another episode of the Football Fundits and to the FPL Fundit section. Decent game week 4, all things considered. The madness of a 9-0 and your captain not scoring. I think we've heard enough about that. Short turnaround time, just about 2.5 hours to go to the deadline. I'll be releasing a short and quick video with the latest updates about the team news, injuries. We have suddenly some excitement to consider, assuming James is injured and it's not traveled to Southampton. Some quick transfer tips, and obviously team selection tips. Before we move ahead, just want to let you all know, please hit on that subscribe button if you like the content that you're watching. Follow us on Twitter and on Instagram as well. And if you still already haven't joined the FPL mini league, the Football Fundits mini league, that is, and irrespective of the videos, hit us up on Twitter and Instagram in case you have any questions. Happy to answer the same. Let's quickly go into the team for this game week. I'm going to try to keep it a very short episode so that we have more time to make those last minute decisions. Well, currently, this is what the team looks like. Sanchez in goal, James, Cancelo, Trent Alexander Arnold, Dunk. Jensen is a free transfer I made last week just to avoid Neto's price from dropping further and causing more problem there. And I didn't want to burn a transfer per se. Well, I kind of burned a transfer just by saving that point two in the bank, right? Luis Diaz, Salah, Martinelli, Haaland, Jesus, Trippier, Andreas on the bench. So obviously before, for the last 1 hour at least, news is that Reece James is precautionarily going to be benched today or rested completely. He's not traveled with the squad. Before that, everyone was just considering, even a lot of managers, including me, like who have the two free transfers, were considering just to, again, just use it on the bench somewhere to move a bench player out, save another point one, not just burn it. And it's kind of because if you look at the squad even that I have right now, and I tweeted this last week that I don't have, or on Saturday at least, that I don't have Perisic, I don't have Klose, don't have Rodrigo, and I'm worried about them. But the players I do have are capable also of producing that haul, right? So it's a little tricky in terms of what I really want to do. So, example, in the starting 11 right now, obviously I would play Andreas instead of Jensen. So that's what's worried me a little bit this week, which is on my mind, this game week per se. The Sanchez dunk double clean sheet, while it's got me to a good, decent rank, although rank's not really important right now because very early days. It could also be 1 or 2 game weeks for that to go bad and not having Rodrigo or not having Gross in my team because I don't want to triple up on Brighton, which could cost me, right, going ahead. So a few worries for me over there. Um, Obviously, the captaincy is on Salah over Haaland right now because of the rotation risk of Haaland, which was the big talk about when midweek games start. Will Haaland be rotated? And as always, Pep Guardiola delighted all of us by saying, "You will find out tomorrow." So that was a lot of help, like he always is. I think in just terms of form, you would take Haaland over Salah. Although it's like Salah saying I'm missing out on a big game like that, you'd expect him to bounce back. And in each time or each game he's faced Newcastle before, he has got a return. I think it's 5 goals and an assist in 6 appearances or 5 appearances. So that's something to also consider. Right now, you can see it's on Salah. I just switched out to Haaland a little while back, but I think it comes down to the fact that I expect Salah to maybe also be taken off a little early if they're doing really well because even they have fixture congestion coming up, and Nunes will be back on the weekend. Jota's expected in training, so I guess he'll want to give some rest to Salah. They're doing well. I think I might, as of now, leaning 60-40 towards Haaland. But anyway, let's go on to the transfer segment of the transfer page so I can show you guys live transfers and give you all possible moves you could make, possible moves I could make as well, and keep it a very short video. I won't be going back to captaincy again because, like I said, I just discussed the captaincy bit in over here. Obviously, differential captain, if you're worried about both, Jesus is the one to go because Villa are struggling. But it's worth noting that Zinchenko is most likely going to miss the game, although Tierney is fit. Also, doubts about the holding midfielders not starting. Slight rotation over there, but Jesus still a good differential captain shout. Okay, moving ahead to just the live transfers and what you could potentially do. What about James? What about if you take him out, if you want to just use a simple transfer, what are the possible moves you could make if you feel there'll be extra rotation that you don't have a good bench strength, right? So let's say this is before we got the news about James, right? So let's say you want to make a simple transfer. Your team looks something like this. Obviously, you still don't have Kane, don't have Kulusevski. So I do feel a little bit about missing out on Perisic there, um, but coming more to that later. If I didn't have any other news, like I said in the last 2 hours, the only move I was considering to make was obviously not the most exciting one, but I was potentially considering on moving Martinelli to Rodrigo. Now you might say that does sound a little exciting. Well, yeah, because Martinelli is in demand, a lot of managers are getting them in, selling Saka. I believe maybe Martinelli might start getting rotated a little bit, especially with Europe coming around as well. He has played 90 minutes in 3 out of the 4 games. And we do have a few injuries for Arsenal in this game. So possibly Smith Rowe could already be starting. So less likely he'll get rotated out. Maybe Nketiah comes in though for him if he doesn't start the game. Or he could replace Jesus early if they're doing really well. So that's what I was actually considering genuinely. That one free transfer was moving Martinelli up to Rodrigo, that 0.3 over there. I have that money in the bank, so I could have made that move, right? So for example, just quickly just show you guys so that's easier to understand. So obviously then my starting lineup would still be Dunk, which is like I said, Dunk Sanchez worrying me, but Dunk, James, Trent, Cancelo, Rodrigo, Salah, Luis Diaz, Andreas, Jesus and Haaland, not Jensen. But now that I have the James news, now assuming I still make this transfer, Trippier comes on for James, automatic substitution. Trippier should be fit to start. There was some small doubt, but he said in the press conference anyhow that he should be fine. So Trippier is good to go there. That's not again what I expect or the best move I accept. Like I do assume or I do expect Liverpool to score in this game, especially assuming that Saint Maximin also is possibly carrying an injury and might not be fit to play. We also have Wilson already injured. So Bruno Wimar is already injured. So that does worry me a little bit. Then maybe I'm going to end up with another 2 or 1 pointer. And maybe if Dunk and Sanchez both don't do well, it could finally be like a very average game week. That's a worry there. But I feel that's probably still better in the long term if James is only carrying a small niggle and it's precautionary. That means he'll be rested this game week and be fit to start the next few games, right? So not to worry about rotation there. So if you look at the fixtures after that, they have West Ham at home. They have Fulham away the Saturday after. Liverpool, you expect him to be part of those 2 games, and then you can still see they have a decent fixture run. So no longer really I'm screaming to take him out, although they don't look too good collectively. I think Fofana will start, squeezing into this lineup. Koulibaly will be back. So I do expect Chelsea to improve. Well, let's say now that I'm going with, I have 2 free transfers. Let's do something more of on the aggressive side of it and not the safe side of it. What potential moves could I possibly make? Let's just leave Martinelli in here right now. Let's say I do take out James. Well, obviously option number 1 is Perisic for me. If you don't already have him, and if you have him, then I'll show you other options. So I get 0.9 in the bank. Now, again, I could potentially hold on to Martinelli as well. Take out Jensen for me personally. Could get in Cross and triple up and then bench Dunk. So that essentially means I'll play Perisic, Trent, Cancelo, Martinelli, Gross, Salah, Diaz, Andreas, and Jesus Haaland. Will that make me feel a little bit better with Gross? Look like he's more in form? Maybe. But again, if you see, it's more of going with the template and not guaranteed that it'll get me the points. Although he has looked good, it's worth to again point out that the maximum ever that he scored in a season is 7 goals and 8 assists, which was his first season here. And after that, it's pretty much been standard. But he is beating his own form and looks like he's looking really, really solid right now. And again, to mention that they play Fulham away. Worry about obviously is with Andreas and Mitrovic looking good for the defensive side. There is nothing to say that he can't be part of the attacking side, which is why I said then benching Dunk for me would make sense. And I won't want to have Andreas, Dunk, Gross, Sanchez, too many players from one fixture. That's something worry for me too. So Leicester, Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, they still have good fixtures in game week 8, right? So I think I keep him a hold till then and then probably rotate him on the bench when Liverpool Tottenham come knocking. So that's one potential double transfer I could make for James, assuming I'm worried about James and I think it's better to get ahead of it. And I don't have Perisic and I don't have any Tottenham players anyway. It'd be a good way for me to get ahead over there. Worry about Perisic though is that after Fulham on Saturday, does he start both these games? Not really sure. Then there's City in the Saturday after. You probably assume he starts for that. Conte wants him for that, depending on what happens in the Champions League. So a lot to worry or mull about that for that move. Um, Again, just going back to it, if you have a very good team, a decent bench, you don't want to mess with it. Worried about James again. Straight swap, let's say, depending on you have point find the bank like me. Very few options. Okay, you could obviously go for Cucurella at 5.1. That's another move. Get back your Chelsea cover. You potentially then could look at keeping that money in the bank, thinking a little bit ahead, and then using those two free transfers wisely. Let's say I don't have Nico Williams. Again, I'm not recommending this move. This is just thinking out loud because an opportunity is presented itself. Leaves me 2.4 in the bank. Definitely can get in even Rodrigo. Like I said, I have Martinelli, Rodrigo, Martinelli, Gross. Over here, can get in Bernardo Silva at 6.9. Potential options over there. And I have, for this game week though, gets a little weaker for me, right? Because then I do play Dunk and Sanchez double Brighton, Trent, Cancelo, and 5 midfielders with Trippier idly still on my bench. So let's potentially just show you guys. Becomes an easier way to look at things. Odegaard, I feel, is still always looked really, really good and has outscored Martinelli now on 31 points. I had a friend of mine and another cousin of mine. I recommended them start of the season take out Odegaard and keep in Martinelli. All went well for the first 3 game weeks, and then when Odegaard started scoring, it's pretty much turned around very quickly. So apart from these players, right, looking at just pure value, not really seeing it much. Like you can't afford your Kulusevski still. You probably want to save that Kulusevski or let Madison come back with less restrictions earning for Luis Diaz when Jota and Nunes come back and Diaz's attacking potential reduces. No player really is convincing me so far. James Ward-Prowse, for example, Southampton, Chelsea, Wolves. Again, nothing much for this coming week. That's really exciting me. Brentford, Aston Villa, Everton, yes, maybe, but not convincing for me. Decent player again, but not really convincing for me. Obviously, your price out of Gundogan at 7.6, Foden at 8 to go in for the attacking third third City player. We do have again Trossard at 6.5. I just could be a good option versus Gross. Again, slightly more differential for people who have Gross and he blanks and Trossard does well. But again, like I said, you're then taking up a player in James who could come back strong with the Chelsea, stronger side when you still have a couple of weeks to wildcard. So these two moves, not really very convincing, but again, just keep up with the fact that Leeds have good fixtures with Everton, Brentford, Nottingham Forest mainly coming up in the next 2 weeks. United could go either way with United. Let's see how they strengthen up. Villa, Crystal Palace. So they have a good fixture run. So getting Rodrigo in right now could still be better for me than getting in Gross. And like this, I still have 1 million in the bank, right? I can potentially still move up one of maybe Dunk with fixtures turning after game week 8 to 5.5. Work out some players elsewhere. Downgrade Luis Diaz and Gundogan. Get James back that way. Options are there. I'm just not sure if this is what a really good team looks like for this game week. The only way I could justify this self is assuming Haaland also doesn't play or comes on only for 30 minutes and the captaincy is on Salah, or doesn't play at all. Let's assume captaincy is on Salah. I still have a decent attacking team, informed team against decent fixtures where I could potentially get enough hauls to cover up and not slip up too much. That's the only way I can justify making these moves. Outside of this, again, if you want to keep James in your side, you have 2 free transfers. Your team looks something like this. You really don't think you can make any worthwhile changes, or you feel you don't want to burn, you don't want to make a quick transitioning move without having a look at how the rotation starts and hold on to it. I would say just again what I said, go back earlier. Probably downgrade one of your defenders down to Dunk or another 4.5 Brighton defender. You could. Okay, there's again this talk about moving out a boring transfer, moving out a goalkeeper, which they don't move your goalkeepers, don't move your goalkeepers, don't waste a transfer. You wouldn't. But if you have Ramsdale and you want to save money in the bank for 2 free transfers on the weekend and you don't want to like just waste one right now, even though Arsenal have good fixtures, you could potentially consider going down there. But again, I don't think now getting in Sanchez or Aya makes the most sense. But just trying to give you thoughts over there. Apart from that, and that's something which is a cover story of this, what would you do if you had Kane or Haaland over here? It's something that I was thinking about, honestly, without all of these conundrums here. Should I just make it risky? I have one free transfer in. If it doesn't work out, the worst happens. I can always switch it around. I have enough money in the bank to go back to Kane or Haaland, vice versa. That's what I've been thinking, right? Now, let's just quickly look at City's fixtures. Tottenham obviously coming up next weekend, not the coming weekend. And there's Wolves and United. Those three are relatively, obviously, City being City in form. Not the easiest fixtures, I would say. And then there's Liverpool, Arsenal there as well. I feel that if you don't have Kane in yet, and although Kane could haul against West Ham, but possibly just take the risk of keeping Haaland in and consider making that switch from maybe Saturday onwards. Tottenham have not looked the most convincing, but Kane is still hauling, right? If they do improve, with Son being poor, if he gets benched or Richarlison starts and they look better, and they figure out their rotation with Perisic and the wingers and Doherty coming in, I think Spurs will be a much better side with Kulusevski looking dangerous too. So I think maybe hold off on this game week on making that move. Obviously, if you want to assume that 100% Haaland's not going to play any part in this game, to come on 25 minutes, maybe get a goal versus Kane who plays 90, then yes, it's actually still a good move to make and good attacking move to make. I would still consider though making that same attacking move over the weekend, game week 6, and not right now. That's my take on this. Outside of this, a Gundogan or a Bernardo Silva, repeat again, are great moves to make in midfield if you do have the money in the bank and if you want to be a little risky and don't want to play safe. But again, remember that you will be using up money in the bank that you've kept in to use on the wild card or get it Darwin. So let's just keep that eye on moves you want to make in game week 7 or game week 8 as well. But that's it. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. There's, like I said, I want to keep it very short. It's under 20 minutes. Best of luck for the midweek kickoff. I think this episode will release just about 2 hours before the deadline. If you have any more questions, please hit us up on Instagram or on Twitter. I'll be happy to answer the same. Hit on that subscribe button if you did like the content. We'll be coming up with more videos very soon. Best of luck again. See you on the weekend. Cheers.